Welcome back, dear students. We are starting the second part of this lesson, life process. In this second part today, we are going to discuss especially the respiration. In this part, respiration, we will discuss what is the definition of respiration, what actually this biochemical process is. Then second, we will discuss the site of respiration, means where does actually the process respiration occurs in the body of a living organism. We will see the role of cytoplasm in respiration, that is especially the glycolysis process. Then followed by the role of mitochondria in aerobic respiration, then anaerobic respiration, aerobic respiration, and the exchange of gases during respiration. So let us start the process. So let's come directly to respiration. The thing is, in our previous class we have come to know that food is digested in our digestive system, and after the food is digested it is absorbed by the blood, and blood carry the food to the cell. Now the question arises, what happens to the food inside the cells of the living organism? The answer to the question is, the food contains energy, but this energy remains inside the food in the form of chemical energy. This chemical energy of the food is to be released, and this release of energy from food is possible only by a process called oxidation of food. This process of oxidation of food for chemical breakdown to release energy which will support the life of the living system is respiration. To discuss it in an easy method, let us see this. Suppose this is the shell of a living organism. This is the nucleus, cytoplasm part. So this is the cell. And food is digested in the digestive system. And from the digestive system, blood will carry the food to the cells, to the tissues. Now this is the blood capillary, and the blood capillary is bringing what? This is bringing the food. The food is coming through this capillary, and will finally the food will enter the cell. Suppose now this is the food molecule which has entered inside the cell. Now what happens? As I have already mentioned, the food contains energy, but this energy is in the form of chemical bond present, and it should be released, and for releasing this food molecule needs to be oxidized. Now this oxidation process of what? Food. In order to release, as a result of that, it will release energy. It will release energy, and this energy will make the cell active to carry out all the necessary activities to support life. So this entire process by which the food inside the cell gets oxidized to release energy is called as respiration. So that is what simply we can say about the process called as respiration. Now let's see what is the site of respiration. Where does respiration occur? We are coming to the second part, that is site of respiration. So in entire animal body or in entire plant body, the only site where respiration can occur is its cells. So cell is the site of respiration, and that is why the respiration which occurs inside the cell is also called as cellular respiration. Cellular respiration. So why is it called as cellular respiration? Perhaps you have understood, because the entire process of chemical breakdown of food, that is respiration, takes place inside the cell. In the unicellular organisms, the only cell present in its body is responsible for carrying out this respiration. But in the multicellular organisms, each and every cell present in the body of that multicellular organism is responsible, or they are responsible for carrying out this process, respiration. That is to say, whatever the organism it may be unicellular or multicellular, it may be plant or animal. In all these organisms, respiration occurs inside the shell, and that is why we call this is as cellular respiration. Now, cell is a very complex structure, and inside the cell there are different places, different positions, different cell organelles. Now the question arises, do all these cell organelles carry out respiration, or does the entire cell is responsible for carrying out respiration? The answer is no. Cell has different organelles and they have different function. To carry out respiration inside the cells, in the cell there are two specific parts where respiration occurs. And these parts are, number one, that is the cytoplasm part. That is, some part of cellular respiration occurs in the cytoplasm, and the remaining part, you can say the final part of respiration, completes in the mitochondria. So these are the two parts inside the cell where respiration takes place. That is why we are coming after the site of respiration, that is these two parts, cytoplasm and mitochondria. We will try to understand how respiration occurs in these two parts of the cell to finish this process of respiration. Now let us first discuss the respiration in the cytoplasm. First of all, in the cytoplasm, whenever the food from the digestive system is transported by blood, it reaches the cells. And inside the cell, the first role will be played by cytoplasm. The first role in respiration inside the cell will be done by the cytoplasm. Why? Because the food first reaches the cytoplasm. So these are the food molecules maybe, and they are now reaching the cytoplasm, where in the cytoplasm food will be first broken down into a structure called as pyruvate. But before coming to this pyruvate, let us see what is this food. The food was digested in the animal body, or maybe it is in the plant body. Food is always produced in the form of carbohydrate, and that carbohydrate after digestion, which is now coming to the cell, is actually glucose. So glucose is the food for the cell. This glucose was transported by blood into cells, and in the cells there is cytoplasm, where in the cytoplasm glucose molecule is broken down to pyruvate molecule. In glucose there are 6 carbon. Because the chemical formula of glucose is C6H12O6, means there are 6 carbon atoms. But in pyruvate, each molecule of pyruvate will contain 3 carbon atoms. It means that when one molecule of glucose is broken down in the cytoplasm, it produces always 2 molecules of pyruvate, which ultimately transforms itself into pyruvic acid. Now glucose molecule is broken down in the cell cytoplasm to form pyruvate, is called as glycolysis. So what is glycolysis? It is the chemical breakdown of glucose in the cytoplasm of the cell to form 2 molecules of pyruvate. In the entire process, when the glucose or food is broken down to pyruvate, this entire process we call it as oxidation. This is a chemical process called oxidation. You have already learned about the oxidation reaction in chemistry lessons, so I don't repeat what is oxidation. Simply remember, the breakdown of glucose to pyruvate inside the cell cytoplasm is an oxidation process. However, in this oxidation process, oxygen gas is not required. Oxygen is not necessary. It means food molecule like glucose can be broken down to pyruvate during oxidation in the cell cytoplasm without oxygen. Without the assistance of oxygen, without the involvement of oxygen, that is to say in absence of oxygen, food, that is glucose inside the cell cytoplasm, can be oxidized or broken down to pyruvate molecule, and therefore this process, which is also called as glycolysis, is an anaerobic process. Anaerobic process, that is, this first part of cellular respiration is anaerobic. So what is anaerobic? N means not having, N means no, nothing, it is empty, AN. And aerobic, the word is means the presence of air or oxygen. So anaerobic means in absence of air. So respiration which completes in absence of air is anaerobic, and this is a respiration. So do not think that respirations mean breathing. Breathing is a different phenomenon and respiration is a different phenomenon. Breathing is the physical activity in which we take in oxygen from the atmosphere through our nostrils into the lungs, and at the same time giving out of carbon dioxide from the lungs to the atmosphere through the nostrils is called as breathing. So it is a physical mechanism. But what happens to the oxygen which reach the lungs? From the lungs, oxygen is again carried by blood, especially the hemoglobin present in the RBC, and finally this oxygen reaches the cell, and inside the cell there is food, and that food will be broken down to smallest part in order to release energy. Under that condition, this respiration will require oxygen, and we will call it is as aerobic respiration. So anaerobic and aerobic are two different respiration. So we are just coming to see this in details about that. But before that, let us come back to see the second part, mitochondria. What is the role of mitochondria in respiration? Once glucose, as I have already mentioned, glucose is broken down into pyruvate, where it is broken down in the cytoplasm. So glucose molecule is broken down to pyruvate molecule in the cytoplasm, and in this entire process there is no involvement of oxygen, means oxygen is not at all necessary. So this chemical breakdown is glycolysis, and that takes place in the cytoplasm. Since in this entire part oxygen is not necessary, we also call it is anaerobic respiration, also called as fermentation. Now what happens to this pyruvate? Now pyruvate has got three different ways. The first way is this pyruvate molecule can break down to carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH, plus energy. Now what happens? The glucose which was broken down in cytoplasm to form pyruvate. Now the pyruvate again may break down into carbon dioxide, ethyl alcohol, and some amount of energy. This breakdown always completes in presence of certain enzymes present inside the cell itself. In this entire process also oxygen is not necessary, and we call this is anaerobic respiration. So ultimately what has happened? Glucose, which is food, that is step by step broken down finally to release energy, and this energy will be utilized by the cell to carry out its specific activity. In this entire process, which is anaerobic, as I have already mentioned, because oxygen is not required, so this process is also called as fermentation. During this fermentation, ethyl alcohol is produced, C2H5OH, and therefore this fermentation process is also called as alcoholic fermentation or alcohol fermentation. There is a second option. In the second option, the glucose molecule in the cytoplasm, which has already broken down to pyruvate, instead of breaking down into ethyl alcohol, may get break down to lactic acid. Along with this lactic acid, in this process as well, some amount of energy will be liberated. This liberated energy will be utilized by the cell to carry out all the vital activities which will support life. Here in this process also, like the previous one, from glucose and pyruvate finally energy is liberated in absence of air, means oxygen. So this is also anaerobic process or fermentation. However, in this fermentation lactic acid is produced and therefore it is called as acid fermentation. The first pathway was alcohol fermentation, because in this process alcohol was produced. This is ethyl alcohol. And in the second process lactic acid is produced, therefore we call this fermentation is acid fermentation. Remember, this alcohol fermentation occurs in the body of yeast, which is a fungus, unicellular fungi, or in some other microorganisms. Unicellular organisms, what happens? Glucose molecule in the cytoplasm is broken down to pyruvate, and then this pyruvate molecule in the body of the yeast shell, in absence of air, gets broken down to ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy, and this energy will keep the yeast or other microorganisms like bacteria survive, and this is called as alcohol fermentation. But the second method where lactic acid is produced, this is seen in the muscle cells of our body. When we do hard physical labor, we need more amount of energy, which may be insufficient, the energy which is we are actually getting by aerobic process. Therefore, under that emergency conditions, when there is maximum need of energy in the muscle cells, the glucose molecule anaerobically can break down to produce lactic acid and energy. However, the accumulation of lactic acid inside the muscle cells will make us feel pain in those muscles. So anyway, so these are the fermentation process, and this fermentation is anaerobic respiration. However, I have mentioned there is third process. Now what happens in the third process? In the third process, the pyruvate molecule, instead of remaining in the cytoplasm, will now enter into the mitochondria. So for the first time, we have seen that in respiration, mitochondria is going to play an important role. In this process, when the glucose molecule which was broken down to pyruvate, instead of going in this direction, that is anaerobic direction, now coming to mitochondria, means this is aerobic respiration, and therefore here there is the need to supply sufficient amount of oxygen. Means without oxygen, pyruvate molecule inside the mitochondria cannot be broken down, and therefore to break down pyruvate inside the mitochondria, oxygen is necessary, and therefore this part of respiration is called as aerobic respiration. What happens in the mitochondria? Inside the mitochondria, the pyruvate in the form of pyruvic acid enters the mitochondria, and then it takes part in a cyclic part of chemical reaction. You will come to know about this cyclic process of chemical reactions in your higher class. All those chemical reactions which take place inside the mitochondria, where the pyruvate molecule will break down step by step in presence of oxygen, and so many enzymes present inside the mitochondria will release carbon dioxide, will release water and energy in the form of ATP, step by step. And as a result of that, pyruvate molecules are completely broken down, or it is completely oxidized in presence of air to liberate energy besides producing water and carbon dioxide. This cyclic pathway of chemical reactions was for the first time described by Hans Krebs. The name of the scientist was Hans Krebs, and accordingly all those cyclic pathway of chemical reactions are called as Krebs cycle. So where does the Krebs cycle occur? It occurs in the mitochondria. So and this part of chemical reaction is called as aerobic respiration, because in this part of chemical respiration the presence of oxygen is necessary. So this is what we were discussing something about the role of mitochondria, role of cytoplasm in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So let us now see as a whole the chemical reaction of respiration. So in respiration actually there is glucose molecule C6H12O6. This is the product, and this product is broken down in presence of oxygen. We are talking about the aerobic respiration, and then it will be broken down to 6 molecules of water, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, and ATP molecules, which will supply the necessary chemical energy to support the different activities to be carried out inside the cell. So this is the entire chemical reaction of aerobic respiration. So we are now coming to the last part, exchange of gases. Now during respiration we have seen in aerobic respiration, which occurs in the higher types of plants and animals including human being, we see always aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration there is always intake of oxygen and there is always the release of carbon dioxide. So we receive oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. The question is, why do we receive oxygen? We receive oxygen to break down glucose. So the oxygen receives the glucose. As a result, it is broken down, glucose is broken down into a few products that already we have mentioned. For example, it is broken down to ATP, it is broken down to water, and it is broken down to carbon dioxide. This ATP, which is broken down inside the cell from the glucose, will quickly enter into the mitochondria and will remain. It is actually inside the mitochondria already, because Krebs cycle takes place inside the mitochondria. So who stores this ATP molecule? It is the mitochondria, and therefore mitochondria are called as powerhouses of the cell. Water is also will be stored inside the cell, because water is a necessary part of the cell. So mostly the water retains its position inside the cell. However, if there is excess amount of water, it will be released. If there is any excess amount of water, it will be released. And carbon dioxide is a totally useless product which is produced during respiration, and therefore this carbon dioxide is also to be released, because we do not need it. So if there is excess water, then it will be released, but all the carbon dioxide are to be released and they finally go out. They ultimately go out of our body. So this carbon dioxide may contains therefore some amount of water vapor. That is why if we just do like this, that is, if we just blow the air out, which mostly contains carbon dioxide, we will see the water vapor may also get stick to our palm. So it means that these expiratory gases do not only contain carbon dioxide gas, it may also contain some amount of water. But the question is here, during this breakdown of glucose molecule, we have taken oxygen gas and we have removed carbon dioxide. So we have to say that there is actually during respiration exchange of gases. Where do exactly those exchange of gases take place? We are going to discuss this part at the last of this class today. So exchange of gases. To understand this exchange of gases, we have to see, this is the trachea, which is actually windpipe or trachea. This is nostril. From the nose, whatever the gas we take, like oxygen, through the nose it will come and it will reach a tube which is running through our neck region to the chest, and this is called as trachea, also called as windpipe. This trachea will, after reaching this position in our chest, will divide into two. It will divide into two, and then each such division is called as one bronchus. So both are together called as bronchi. Now each bronchus may again subdivide into some small branches. Each bronchus. And if they in this way subdivide, then such small branches will be called as bronchioles. So this one is bronchus, but after that we have seen these are subdivision, and then we are called as bronchioles. And at the end of bronchioles, we will see some small bag-like structures. And these bag-like structures, what we can see here, they are called as alveolus. So one is called as alveolus, but plural form is alveoli. All these things, they remain covered by a membrane, pleural membrane, and as a whole it forms a structure called as lungs. So this is the right lung, and in that way that there will be left lung. We have two lungs. Now oxygen gas which we have inhaled through this trachea will enter and finally will reach the bronchus. And from the bronchus it will now enter into the bronchioles, and from the bronchioles finally air, means oxygen, will reach the alveoli. The moment oxygen will reach the alveoli will start becoming inflated, and as a whole the lung will become inflated. During that time what happens? Around these lungs there will be so many blood capillaries, there will be numerous blood capillaries, and in the blood there is one chemical compound called as hemoglobin. Now hemoglobin has high affinity for oxygen, means like a magnet can attract a piece of nail made up of iron. Similarly, hemoglobin present in the blood always attracts oxygen, and it immediately combines with oxygen. The hemoglobin present in the blood combines with oxygen and makes it oxyhemoglobin. And in the form of oxyhemoglobin, which is a temporary compound, this blood and hemoglobin oxygen mixture will come out of the lungs. From the lungs, this will come out. And finally, they will reach the cells. So from the lungs, blood will carry the oxygen away, and finally the blood will reach the cells. In the cells, they will give the oxygen here. In the cells, the blood will release the oxygen. Why? Because this oxygen will take part in aerobic respiration inside the mitochondria to continue the process of Krebs cycle. And at the end of Krebs cycle, inside the cell, oxygen will be totally used up, and in place of that, inside the cell, what are produced? Energy is produced, some amount of water is produced, and carbon dioxide is produced. Now, as already I have mentioned, this energy is necessary part of the cell, so it will remain there. Water also mostly essential for the cell, so most of the water will retain its position or place inside the cell. However, this carbon dioxide is unnecessary product, so cell needs to remove it immediately. So the blood which carried the oxygen to the cell, the same blood while going back will take away the carbon dioxide, and it will come back to the lungs. And in the lungs, it will release the carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide from the alveolus will come to the bronchioles. From the bronchioles, they will reach the bronchus and then trachea, and finally from the trachea, the carbon dioxide will come out during expiration. So this taking in of oxygen into the lung is inspiration, and giving out of carbon dioxide from the lung is expiration. This inspiration and expiration is possible because there is an exchange of gases in the alveoli. This is the alveoli, and inside the alveoli, this process called exchange of gases occur. And as a result of this exchange of gases, we can regularly see the taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide, what we call as breathing. So respiration is the chemical breakdown of food either in presence or in absence of oxygen to liberate energy. But breathing is that mechanism in which we take in oxygen from the atmosphere and give out carbon dioxide during respiration. So that is the difference between respiration and breathing. So that is what we wanted to discuss today regarding respiration. Thank you very much.